All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Tom Chaney, and this is Living Health Live. Joining me on the show, as well as in life and in our practice, Living Health Integrative Medicine, is my wife, Dr. Steph. We are your trusted source for the latest information to help you get and stay healthy naturally. So the information on this show is intended as educational information only. The information given here is designed to help you make better informed decisions about your health, your family's health, and is not intended as a substitute for medical treatment. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking all about detoxing your body to transform your health. We're excited to cover this topic. We get a lot of questions about detoxes, and there's a lot of promotional material about detoxing your body. So here's what we're going to talk about tonight. And actually, before I even get into this, I want to make sure everybody can hear and see us. So you should be able to see us in the lower right corner. So if you could just chime in on the chat on the right side, just put in where you're from, put in the city that you're from. That will let me know that you guys can all hear me and you can also see us. So today we're going to be talking about, and we're going to be answering these questions. Does everyone need to detox? Like, is that something necessary for, a person living on planet Earth? Do we need to detox? And then how do toxins affect the body? We're going to talk all about different toxins and how they're affecting the body. Nutrients that are important for detox. We get questions about, okay, should I be taking this? Is it good for detoxing? And so we're going to answer those questions. And then make sure you stay till the end. We do have a special announcement and a bonus at the end. We're going to be talking about therapies for detox, and we're going to have a special announcement during that session. So let's talk about this first question, Dr. Steph. Let's talk about and answer this question. Does everyone need to detox? Is it necessary?
Yes. Webinar over. Just kidding. When people think about detoxing or doing a cleanse or, whatever, they think about, doing something for a finite period of time to flush things out of the system. What people don't realize is that detoxing is a part of normal daily 24-hour-a-day process in the body. We're always supposed to be detoxing. And so we are probably never more than we've ever been in our lives exposed to an immense amount of chemicals, both chemicals from living things and then obviously environmental, man-made chemicals, plastics, phthalates, benzenes. I can't tell you how much, and some of you guys know this, that we run certain tests here to look for certain heavy metals and toxins, including glyphosate, which is herbicides that are commonly used. And we see a ton of people that have high levels of these chemicals coming out in their urine, and their high levels in their body, stored in their fat. And if you have an immense amount of toxins stored in cells, circulating in the body, whether it's the brain, the fat cells, muscle tissue, liver, glands, organs, imagine what that's doing to your immune system, because your immune system is constantly trying to, react to these foreign toxic invaders. And if you have more toxins coming in than your body's able to process out, which I think in modern human times, this is really our conundrum, then, how good a job is your body doing detoxing? If we run tox testing that we do through our urine test, if we run metals testing and the levels are very high, you're not doing a very good job, especially if you tell me that, oh, I was exposed to XYZ chemical 10 years ago, and you're still slowly kind of leaching high amounts of it out of the system, then your detoxification systems are not working very well. And it's a very, very delicate balance between different organs and all of the cells in the body and systems and things like that. So yes, everyone needs to detox, and everyone should be doing intensive detoxification protocols periodically throughout the year. But we also have to start to realize that we need to support daily detox. 24-hour-a-day detox is a normal process of our body. I mean, just having a bowel movement is detoxification. Sweating is detoxification. So yes.
And I think that's important that, the question I ask patients routinely is, have you been exposed to chemicals? And I typically hear patients tell me, no, I haven't been exposed. But we're constantly exposed, and we're going to get into some of the different sources.
Exactly. I mean, just here at the office the other day, last week we had, at the end of the week, we had carpet removed and we had new flooring put down. And, just that process, even though we weren't the people doing it and we had filters going and ozone machines going, we're getting exposed to chemicals, and there's a process there. So the problem at a cellular level, the problem systemically with toxins, no matter where they're coming from, and, different toxins will get processed different ways in the body. They'll get built up and stored in different places in the body. Certain toxins love the brain. Certain toxins love bone. Certain toxins just never make it past the liver for reasons we'll get into. But ultimately, it comes down to what are you doing at a cellular level? And ultimately, most toxins eventually, through various systems, including hyper stimulating your immune system, can actually end up interfering with DNA expression. And DNA expression is basically the thing that runs your body systems and runs your life. So you can deplete through constant dealing with toxins and not being able to get toxins out. That constant circulation of toxins causes depletion of nutrients that are necessary for repair and rebuilding. So you can't even repair and rebuild, you can't regenerate. And so breakdown starts to happen. You end up fatiguing all your systems, whether it's your nervous system, your musculoskeletal system, your brain, your immune system. You can start blocking normal cell function and tissue cell function. So even the mucus lining of our intestines, if there's too much toxic buildup, then you actually plug and clog literally these cells, and they can't even get oxygen flow and nutrient flow. And so what happens is you end up with cells that just cannot repair, cannot regenerate, cannot divide. And ultimately, we have cell death. We have aberrant cell function because the DNA is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's not expressing things in a healthy way. And we can end up with cancer, diabetes, heart disease, liver disease, all the chronic stuff. And it makes us more vulnerable and more likely to succumb to infections, whether it's bacterial infections, viral, things like that. So it's really important. So toxins can just gunk up anything. Just think about like splatting glue against a wall. It clogs up the pores of the cell. So toxins can't even get out of the cell. They stay in the cell. You can't get nutrient flow in, and you can't repair and rebuild and fix. And you just think about the immense amount of toxins that we get exposed to. We live in such a toxic world. You've got industrial compounds, chemical byproducts. We've talked about water quality here in Anne Arundel County, in Maryland. We're prone in Anne Arundel County to higher levels of arsenic due to runoff from coal mines from Pennsylvania down into the tributaries. We've got combustion, incineration, we've got pesticides. Pesticides are a big deal. Insecticides, herbicides. I still have patients to this day that go around and spray with Roundup all over their, driveway and their, in their yard to maintain a good looking lawn. And that stuff is just so carcinogenic. And we've got synthetic medications. We've got synthetic, foods, really. We've got cosmetic additives. So things can get in through the skin. They can get in through what you eat. They can get in through what you breathe. And I'm going to just pop this little guy up here for a quick sec. In 2012, the World Health Organization estimated around 7 million people died as a result of air pollution. So I want you to think about the last couple of years and everything we've been through statistically as far as cause of death, right? And more people have died from air pollution than this crazy pandemic situation in a year. But that's how much toxicity we're exposed to. And you guys know, even with medications, we get recalls all the time for our medications. You know, the FDA is constantly kiboshing a medication out of another country, especially China, because of some carcinogenic ingredient or whatever. And so there's lots of problems with so many things that we get exposed to. And we've got patients that we work with that are exposed to biotoxins, right? So we've got mold, fungus, yeast, whether you're in a building that has been exposed to mold, that has mold growing in it, bacteria. We've got patients with parasites. We've got, you know, even algae. So you guys have heard of the red tide. We've talked about this a lot with the patients that I work with that really have a hard time. You know, if red tide is killing marine life, we are mammals just like marine life is. And so it can be problematic for us as well. And these toxins can go in through our respiratory system by inhaling. We can ingest them. Skin contact, our skin is an absorptive organ, and we can be injected with toxins. And so, and of course, we've got, I mean, this stuff could be anywhere: food, water, home, work, church, your car. We've had several patients, upon further investigating and questioning, had major issues with the car and found out there was mold in the car or chemical stuff happening with the car. So, you know, just in this area too, it's probably less commuting than there was about 5 years ago for some people working from home, which is a good thing. But, you know, the commute, we've got patients that commute 1 hour, you know, one way and get exposed to exhaust and fumes. And that's known to actually increase the risk of cardiovascular events, even just and inflammatory compounds in the body is being exposed to all that exhaust. So lots of exposure potential in this world that we live in.
So that leads me to ask, are we all doomed? It
So
sounds
depressing.
like we are, right?
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
no escape in the toxin. So
listen, it is what it is, and here we are, right? And so, but what it does mean that it's very, very important for us to stay 2 steps ahead of everything, right? Or at least try to keep our head above water. So no, we're not all doomed. We can actually detoxify. Like I said, we detox every day. So it's just a matter of understanding what detoxification is in the body, what organs are involved in the detoxification systems, and how what our body needs on a day-to-day basis, so we can start thinking with, okay, how can I support myself a little bit every day? And then we've got obviously big detoxification programs that we can do that are more intensive. And yeah, I think we should be doing them more often throughout the year than maybe we used to. You know, some people do a big cleanse like every 5 years or something. No, I think multiple times a year, we actually really need to be thinking about, you know, taking out the garbage, so to speak.
So let's dig into the detox system and how we actually clear these toxins.
Yeah, so I love this diagram because it's very, very, it simplifies an extremely complex web of processes that happen in the body. Most of the toxins that will get processed and brought to the liver are in a fatty form. Most, not all. I mean, there's other things too. But you got, you know, oil soluble, fat soluble toxins that enter into the liver. The liver is the major detox organ of the body. So it's like the garbage processing plant. And it goes through several phases of modifying, breaking down, and chemically altering certain compounds so that they can then leave the system in a safe way. And just generally speaking, once a liver has processed toxins, they will end up getting dumped through the bile, out through the stool. And then, or they will be sent through the bloodstream to be recirculated to the kidneys so that you can dump it through the urine. And then, of course, there's the process of actually sweating toxins out as well. So There's two big phases. There's actually a third we're not going to get into today that involves the intestines, but with regards to liver processes, there's a phase 1 detoxification and phase 2 of detoxification. And really what we're trying to do is just break these toxins down, package them up in such a way that it's almost like they've got a protective, shield around them so that they can go through the system and not be as reactive and not cause trouble on their way to being eliminated out through the body. So there's two phases. That's the important thing to think about as far as this. And I'll get into each phase a little more in depth now. So phase 1 detoxification. And by the way, these need to be happening like constantly and in an immediate fashion. Because what happens in phase 1 is that this is the breakdown, right? Enzymatically, we break down toxins. But these broken down toxins, as we're trying to get them into a form that is water soluble, so we can urinate them out and we can get rid of them safely through the bloodstream. In that process of breaking them down, they become extremely, extremely toxic and volatile. That's why phase 2 has to happen. It's got to be an immediate thing. They get broken down and then something gets slapped on them and then they can get sent out the processing plant. So the process of oxidation, reduction, hydrolysis, all of this stuff is happening in phase 1. So you can see that this is like really, when you think of enzymes, you think of breaking things apart, right? So ripping things apart. But sometimes when we rip things apart, they become very, very volatile. So they immediately want to glom onto something else. And so the liver's job is to then go into phase 2 eventually and glom them to something. So this process is breaking down steroids, bile acids. So we're always reclaiming bile acids and breaking the toxins down, fatty acids, environmental pollutants. So think plastics, BPA, things like that, carcinogenic compounds, and things like that. This is what gets broken down. And then the process of phase 2 picks up very quickly. So phase 1 makes many molecules more toxic than the original chemicals, like I just said, which is why phase 2 has to be also healthy. We have to have all phases handled and on deck. Any delay in activity of phase 2 may result in cellular damage. And we call this oxidative stress. And so the cells can immediately just start getting hammered if we're not handling these things right away. This damage may happen in the liver mainly because that's where this process is happening, or systemically if these molecules, after they break down, actually are able to escape in a situation into the bloodstream or outside of the hepatocyte. So that's obviously not a good thing either. It's very important that these things get handled through phase 2 very quickly so that if they do leave the liver, you're not damaging blood vessels, lymph tissue, and surrounding organs as recirculation happens. This damage can occur by bonding, so attaching to something else, or literally just destroying the cell right there on the spot. So very, very volatile. It's absolutely necessary that we do this to get rid of things, but it's very, very hard on the system. So as soon as phase 1 takes place, then we have very swift action of phase 2 to prevent cellular damage. And phase 2 involves a ton of different processes depending on the toxin that is being broken down for elimination. So this is, you can see here, sulfation. This is why this is adding a sulfur compound to whatever the toxin is. This is why when you think about vegetables that are really good for the liver, right? You think of sulfur-containing vegetables like broccoli and cabbages and things like that. And that's why broccoli is so good for the liver, is because of the sulfur. And sulfur-containing compounds are very important for detoxification. And then we've got glutathione and amino acids. So these are broken down proteins. Methylation involves B12 and B9. And so depending again on what's being broken down and what needs to have something attached to it to safely get it out and for distribution through the body and out through the urine or the stool or whatever, will get plugged with a little hat as far as that goes. So phase 1, if you recall, is breaking the stuff down so that you're trying to transition from a fatty soluble to a water soluble compound, whatever that toxin is. And then phase 2 is an immediate capping of that volatile compound. So adding something now different to make it neutral so that it can just be dumped out through circulation without harming anything along the way. So phase 2 reactions decrease the biologic activity and toxicity of phase 1 compounds so they can be safely shuffled on out through the system. Because even though it's in the liver, you're still in the body, right? And we got to get rid of it. So the nutrients.
So let me ask you this before we move on to the nutrients. So, so say a person isn't good at making that transition from phase 1 to phase 2, or they're lacking the nutrients, and like what could be some symptoms that they're having, or how would they be feeling possibly?
Well, you could have fatigue, you could have chronic fatigue, you could have almost fibromyalgia type symptoms like chronic pain, inflammation. You can have brain fog, insomnia, just general body aches. You could have bowel issues, constipation. And then it could get, if it goes on long enough, you could actually have liver disease start. So,
so a lot of our patients have like a fatty liver
or cirrhosis, scarring of the liver, which would be really the breaking down of those cells. You could end up just having it for long enough that you end up with cancer. That's what the process of oxidation leads to if it's not handled in an appropriate way with the antioxidant capping. So it's, you just become more and more and more toxic, and you become more toxic with extremely cell damaging material.
Okay. So let's talk about the nutrients. So what's the nutrients that are important for phase 1 and phase 2 so that we keep those detox systems working?
So it comes down to really good quality B vitamins, right? So B2, B6, folic acid is B9 and B12. And we prefer the forms of many of these to be in a very quick, easy, ready to go for this process. So methylated B12 and B6. Niacin is B3. That's also an important liver detoxifier. In fact, niacin is extremely important for breaking down lipids like cholesterols and keeping cholesterol levels in the blood actually in a more normal range. Antioxidants like glutathione are very important for phase 1. Amino acids like leucine, isoleucine, valine, and usually you'll find amino acids in a good quality supplement or protein powder. And flavonoids, these would be like quercetin and turmeric and resveratrol. We talk a lot about these in this past year. And certain phospholipids like choline, phosphocholine. We had just had a big promotion on phosphocholine. We still have some of that in stock. That's a very important phase 1 nutritional support for that process.
With phase 1, is there any other like supplements that you would recommend that we have?
Well, we've got, for example, our Active B has most of these. We also have methylation plex, and the methylation plex has the B2 and B6, B9, and B12 in it. The glutathione we've got in a liquid form called glutathione PL 100. That's the pump that we have. And that's a liposomal nanoparticle, so it gets into the system very easily. And then we have something called glutathione plex, which is a capsule that has both glutathione in it and something called N-acetylcysteine, which is the precursor to glutathione, so that you can actually stimulate the liver and the guts to make your own glutathione and keep that in circulation. The phospholipids, we've got phosphocholine is a liquid supplement that has that in it. There's a little bit of the choline in the methylation plex as well. So we do have protocols and kits that we have that are designed basically to have all these things in there. So it's already jam-packed. So you don't have to buy all these things in separate bottles and whatnot. And then the flavonoids, we've got our Resveratrol Synergy capsules we talk a lot about during COVID. Has resveratrol and quercetin in it. And then we've got our curcumin complex, which is the turmeric extract. And we do have some of those in liquid forms and things like that. And of course, you can't go wrong with your good healthy fats and antioxidants and things like that. So yeah, so that's a basic, yeah. We have a lot of different options for that. And then phase 2 detoxification, we have certain amino acids like glycine. Now we do have L-glycine in a supplement called Glycine Max, which is literally just straight glycine. That amino acid is really just a good all around amino acid that gets displaced by glyphosate, which is it's an herbicide basically in Roundup and extremely toxic. And when you displace glycine, you alter the function of almost every single cell in the body, the gut lining, the liver. And so loading up on glycine is a very good idea. In fact, it's even part of our sleep cocktail. Taurine is another amino acid that actually crosses the blood-brain barrier and helps with brain cell formation, but it's also important in phase 2 liver detoxification. Glutamine, so our gut repair powder has L-glutamine in it. We also have straight pure L-glutamine powder for anyone that has a lot of food sensitivities. But L-glutamine and NAC, which is N-acetylcysteine, those two actually help stimulate the production and recycling of your own glutathione. And so glutathione is absolutely critical. And these in particular are important for reclaiming the glutathione that you used in phase 1 so that you can keep that process of phase 1, phase 2, phase 1, phase 2 going on constantly. And then methionine, folic acid, B9, and B12. So you can see how important the B vitamins are every step of the way in making sure that we are in phase 2 in particular, rendering the very volatile toxic compounds from phase 1 inert and not as active so that we can safely get these things through the system.
All right, next step. I'm sure everybody wants to know. So how do I get these toxins out of my system? So what does an effective detox look like? You know, there's so many different detoxes out there.
Yeah.
How do we know which one's right?
So in keeping with thinking that you're detoxing every day, you need to be mindful of the things that you're ingesting every day and putting on your body every day. But even if you're doing a detox program, then it's going to be very similar or maybe pared down a little bit as well. Because remember, you're trying to ingest less than you're trying to flush out. So any type of active detoxification, you're trying to focus on the getting stuff out and not so much the taking in. So you obviously want to be consuming liquids that are extremely clean. So good, healthy, filtered or distilled water. Reverse osmosis water is totally fine. If you're putting ozone in your water, that's totally fine. Just good quality spring water is fine. But you want to be getting a good half your body weight in ounces in water every day. One of the things that people don't do is they don't drink enough water. They get very dehydrated and you become sludgy. You impair your body's ability to properly move a bowel. Anyone who's constipated is not getting enough water generally. And you impair your body's ability to actually urinate toxins out and sweat toxins out. So water's so important. And things like soda and juices and coffee are actually dehydrating because they actually pull water from the system. And you want water to dilute the toxins on their way out. You want to eliminate all processed and junk food. And this is going to be important during an actual detoxification, you know, an intensive detoxification. But it's just something that we need to be thinking more and more with, you know, even if you were a junk food eater on a day-to-day basis, if you just started making moves to say, oh, I'm going to keep my junk food eating to Saturday, you know, 5 or 6 days of the week, you're on target and you get to kind of go off the rails. that's better than 6 or 7 days of junk food eating, right? So day-to-day things are important, and then you can get into more intensive detoxifications. But I'm thinking, the way I'm presenting this right now is just thinking with you're supporting your daily detoxification, right? Daily detoxing. So you want to replace your processed foods with real whole foods, fresh vegetables, fruit, and you want to make sure these are organic, because so much stuff gets sprayed on our fruits and vegetables that if you're just eating glyphosate, you're blocking all of your cellular processes. Remember, you're building up too many toxins that are too hard for the body to get out. And some of these things are very challenging to get out of the system. Consume low inflammatory, low inflammation foods. So our patients, many of them have had food testing, so they know what foods are triggers for inflammation for them that cause extra stress. And you want to make sure that you're building in time for resting. So, we live in a very, very go world. You want to make sure that you've got enough sleep, enough time to let the body chill. And certainly if you're doing an intensive detoxification, which we'll talk about when we talk about the reboot that we do, you don't want to be doing a lot of intense activity and creating potentially more toxins. You want to be just kind of letting the system sort of chill a little more, moving just to flush and get things out. And then, of course, you really want to try to avoid the known stuff like the cigarettes. And I'm sure cigarettes 300 years ago were not as toxic, but now I read somewhere there's something like 80 plus different chemical additives and toxins in cigarettes. So, if you switch from your regular to organic cigarettes, that's still a better day-to-day move, right? So think with that. But obviously, if you're going to do an actual detox cycle, you want to eliminate these altogether and let your body start to remove them and flush them out and process them out. As far as that goes. And then we have nutrients to consider. So obviously food is a big part of it. What we put in our bodies diet-wise is extremely important. And of course you can take breaks too. I forgot to mention, you can take days where you just do broth and juice, and you might just blend some celery juice and lemon. We've got all these different instructions for lemonade fasting. So you're just reducing the amount of in so that your body can catch up on flushing out. Nutrients to consider. Obviously, you want to think with these amazing phase 1, phase 2 nutrients. So all of your antioxidant vitamins, so A, C, E, and glutathione, the amino acids that we talked about. So you want to have good quality amino acids that have taurine and leucine and glycine and L-glutamine in them. Usually the easier way for the body to handle them is in the form of a powder that gives protein isolates. So that actually has the breakdown of the amino acids for easy access and support. Liver support and gallbladder support. So your N-acetylcysteine, glutathione. So like our glutathione plex is something that you can take every day. And in fact, if you go back to our webinar, on our blog, our last webinar 13, I think, when I talked about the immune support, everything that I recommended last year for COVID, prophylaxis, prevention, it's all stuff that we need to be having for day-to-day detox. So the prophylactic, if you're on these things already, that's great. So the glutathione plex, the taurine, beet concentrate is really good too. Sometimes people can get beet concentrate powder and they're okay with the taste of it. It's really good detoxification. Sulfur donating supplements. So broccoli extract, broccoli seed extract. And we do have some of those in our compounds. And then basic vitamins and minerals and cofactors. So you've got all your B vitamins, your selenium, your zinc, your manganese. These can all be very easily found in any of our multivitamins. So our active multi powder has all the Bs, the selenium, the zinc, manganese, same with our capsules. And then antimicrobials are also very important for making sure the gut is healthy in terms of the bacteria to yeast ratio. We want to make sure we don't have parasites, because parasites produce a ton of toxins. It's very, very tough on your detox pathways. And so we've got things like the biocidin that we talked about during COVID for that has oregano, and it has a ton of other stuff, willow bark and things like that, clove, garlic. All of these are, promoting good bacterial growth, healthy bacterial growth, and keeping down the bad stuff. And of course, probiotics, and then your fish oil, your omega-3s for their anti-inflammatory effect. And some of this is obviously, you can get this from food. So grass-fed beef is higher in omega-3, and fatty cold water fish like salmon, mackerel, very high in omega-3. But we're in a world where we actually need to supplement with these things almost on a daily basis just to have normal day-to-day detox. And then we can increase the amounts if we're going to do more intensive detoxification.
All right, let's talk about like some other actions to consider to help enhance detoxing.
So things to do outside of what you're putting in your mouth would be obviously exercising. Now, if you're doing an actual detox, so you're going to schedule some time to do a detox, and you're going to really dial things down. You may do some fasting and things like that. Then you want to think of ways that you can encourage the body to excrete these toxins, right? So the excretory, you got your bowels, you got urine, so through the kidneys, and you've got sweat. These are the ways that your body can get rid of most of the garbage. And so circulation is important. We don't want to overtax, but we want to keep things moving. We want to be a flowing river and not a stagnant pond. So walking, some light swimming, yoga, tai chi, vibration plate is great if you got one. Some of our patients have one at home now, because just honestly standing on that for 5 to 10 minutes or just marching in place, the vibration does amazing things to help promote lymph flow and breaking out of toxins. Sauna is an excellent thing. So if you have a gym membership and they have a sauna, you can sweat out a ton of different types of toxins, including even some heavy metals through sweat. So there's steam saunas, infrared saunas. Some people can find fairly affordable infrared saunas online that are portable instead of having a whole sauna built in the house. For some people, it's just not realistic. So we have a cool surprise at the end that we're going to talk about you guys too. But, having a good bath is a way to also detoxify, because a warm or hot bath actually pulls toxins to the surface. It opens the pores. You can either do Epsom salts or just regular. This is where you could actually use table salt, by the way. Don't waste your good, healthy salt that you want to be consuming in a bath. And then enemas. So if you're prone to constipation or if something just doesn't feel right, coffee enemas in particular, that coffee goes through the colon system and right to the liver, and it stimulates the liver to produce more glutathione and detoxification, and it speeds up that process. So it's a good thing for detoxing for 2 reasons. It helps flush you out, obviously, but also stimulates the liver to produce more antioxidants for detoxification. You can also do probiotic enemas, and you can do ozone. So we've talked in the past about ozone kits that you can get. We have them here at the office for patients, so they can do ozone water, they can drink ozone, and they can actually do ozone rectally, which is the easiest and cleanest way to do something in that area versus a liquid enema. And ozone is very sterilizing, very antioxidizing, very stimulating for healing. It's antimicrobial, and it promotes really good health and healing. So these are things that you can build into a period of detoxification, or you can do these periodically. Vibration plate, exercise, walking, getting into the sauna, every few days. If you guys have a sauna, I would definitely use them. And so these are all things that can be considered, that can be done on a fairly regular basis, or they can be done intensively in the form of a detox.
Another alternative to the vibration plate is a mini Tramp. So that's something that is great for lymphatic drainage. We have a
the little
mini
mini
tramp at home.
trampoline, and you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to go crazy on it. It doesn't have to be super high impact. You could just be bouncing on the balls of your toes, and it is very, very lymphatic draining. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, this is the fun stuff.
Yes. So this is another therapy to assist detox. So this is something that we are bringing into the office. So we thought we'd introduce it to you guys tonight. But this is a multi detox therapy. So it hits the body in many different directions. So we're very excited to bring this in. Personally, I'm excited to bring it in
I can't
to
wait.
experience it myself, but also can't wait to see the results from patients.
Yeah. So it's called a Hocket. That's how it's pronounced. And it looks like a space pod. But it does a lot of things all at the same time. So again, most of you guys that are listening tonight, you know that we do ozone and ultraviolet IV in the office, which is amazing for the immune system, antiviral, antifungal. It's really, really healing for the system. So that's a therapy. And then we encourage you to do infrared sauna. We encourage you to do all these things, but you only have so many hours in the day. You only have so much time to do these things. So the Hocket, we are one of only 2 now in the state of Maryland. And I'm going to hit the next slide so you can see what this is. So it's actually a device. It's a pod that you will get into. Your head will be outside and the body will be locked on the inside. And then what happens is in the first couple minutes, you get exposed to carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide actually opens the pores. And then the pod will steam. So it's a steam sauna. It's an infrared sauna. And then it also puts out for about the rest of your session, so 25 minutes or so, it puts out a very high amount of ozone. So while the pores got opened, now you're able to get ozone into the entire body through the skin. So this is great for some of our patients that just aren't able to tolerate the IV. But this is also a really great way to help with weight loss and detoxification because we get the sweating mechanism. I mean, you sweat in this thing. But the beauty of it is it's very easy to tolerate because your head is outside of it. And so we're able to expose the body to all these different therapies all at once. And for any of our patients that have neuropathy, there's foot pads that actually can do electric stim. And that's amazing. So there's electrotherapy, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. So it's just like this machine is rigged to the nines for all kinds of good stuff. And we're very happy that we're getting one in because
let's look at some of these other
the benefits.
Some of the other benefits, because it's more than just, I mean, it is detoxification, but it's also going to inactivate certain pathogens. So that's something that many of our patients are dealing with. They're dealing with this just overload of pathogens, whether it's viruses, bacteria,
a lot of
yeast and fungus.
Yeah, we've got so many people with skin fungus issues. So it will, because of the ozone blast all over the skin, you're gonna really reset your microbiome basically outside your body, because you have a microbiome on you and you have a microbiome in your gut. So this kind of handles all the outside stuff. So it will help with viruses, bacteria, yeast, fungus, parasites. It'll stimulate the immune system because all of it, the infrared, the ozone, all of these things are very important for the immune system. It can help improve and speed healing and recovery, improve circulation, of course. Again, anytime that you're adding heat and infrared, we are stimulating really, really good health and healing. Ozone is very indicated for cardiovascular health as well. And this is the important thing. It oxidizes toxins and removes free radicals. So it helps with that. It helps pull toxins out through the skin. And the skin is like one of the biggest organs that we have. So when a lot of people have skin issues, they don't realize it's a liver that is so backed up that you've got so much toxic waste circulating through the system that the next place for the body to try to eliminate is the skin. So while we're working on all the internal stuff, you can actually be in this pod and it would help with the flow of toxins out. It helps normalize hormones, enzyme production, reduces inflammation, reduces pain, very calming effect, and improves brain function, because anytime that we're going to help with, anytime that we have something that can help with electromagnetic fields, again, the sauna, the circulation, the immune system, lowering inflammation is going to help with the brain and nervous system. And of course, the extra little bonus, it can help with weight loss because you're doing a sauna with infrared therapy and ozone together. So it's a lot in one pod, and it's a very relaxing experience. So before we got this in to the office, I tried it out, and I love it. It was it's the easiest way to detox. It was the most comfortable sauna experience I've ever had.
It's about 30 minutes. Each session is about 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I know. Sign me up. And yes. So
let's talk about how do we get the best benefit from a detox? So, a comprehensive program, something that has some science and research behind it. I think that's a great first step. So, one of the things that we have in our office is we have something that hits all those marks, right?
Yes. And I know our nutritionist Laura was asking us today when we were going to be doing this for the new year, because people were chomping at the bit asking her, because we've done this in the past. So we have a great, what we call a reboot that I put together. I actually put this together over a year ago because we were all freaking out during COVID and we all wanted to get super healthy, but it was a lot of fun. We did this as a group. And so we've got our 21-day detox kit that is so easy to do and so easy to implement. And it all the principles that we just talked about today with the food and the schedule and the hydration and the supplements and the proteins and the amino acids, all of that is all built into this 21-day kit. It's this very easy, no-brainer way to do stuff. And so the pills are in a pill pack. The shakes are in a shake pack. It's already separated out for you. It's the shake I love because it actually fills you up. I've had some shakes before where, okay, it wasn't really holding me over, but this one really does. But our detox program, I also created it. It's 21 days. So it gives you enough time to acclimate to an ideal way of eating and consuming, but you're also able to eat and consume. Because I've done very extreme detoxing where it's a lot of just liquids for, weeks on end. And you almost feel like you're kind of going almost too far one way, and you can get very weak and tired and whatnot. So this is a really balanced, really easy way to detox. It's an easy and safe program to do in the winter because you're not necessarily doing a lot of juicing or just all liquid fasting, which is hard to do during extreme kind of weather times. And when we do it in a group, it's a lot of fun because we can interact, and you've got a buddy system out there. And it's a great way to detox. I'm not a huge focuser on losing weight, but a lot of people will lose anywhere from 10 to 20 pounds in that 3-week period. And if you're losing 20 pounds, you have a lot of toxins coming out because you've got a lot of water weight coming out. And at the end of it, you have improved energy, but you have a bit of a reset and a way to focus. And then we do fun stuff when I do the reboot. We do it as a group. I give you lots of tips and troubleshoots. And for anyone that wants to do enemas or anyone that wants to fit into that 21-day, like a 3-day broth fast or lemonade fast or something of that nature, then you totally can do that. And then I have some more fun stuff that I'm going to do this January when we start our group reboot. So I'll save that for then. But it's just a good way to get refocused because, we've just been through a lot this last couple of years. And for me, this is a way to just, like I said, get refocused, get back on track, get your head in the game, keep your head in the game. This reboot is safe enough to do once a quarter. Sometimes I just keep a kit at home. So if, for example, for traveling on business, you're not really eating the way you normally would eat, and the sleep is off and things like that, you can just even do the kit for a week at a time here and there. But I think I have a lot of fun doing it with you guys as a group because it also keeps me focused and accountable and motivated. And You know, I'm definitely more successful when I'm doing these guys with you, as far as that goes.
So what we're doing is we're opening up enrollment. We're going to open up enrollment for January. We're going to start the actual sessions on January 10th. And then enrollment will be open. We're opening it today. It's going to be open until Christmas Eve. We're going to close registration then. And this isn't about weight loss. You know, if you guys have seen Dr. Steph and I, we do this, and it's not about weight loss. It's about just cleaning up the body, right? Just
Yeah, I mean, whether you're skinny or chubby or short or tall, it doesn't really matter if you have a body and a liver and you have intestines and you have kidneys. I mean, we are all inundated the same way, right? So some of us will be more toxic than others. I've done a lot of detoxing. But yeah, this is like, I don't do this to lose weight. I do this to stay healthy and to clean out the system. And so I do this because I don't want to have chronic illness later. You know, this is a lot of prevention for me as well.
So here's the fun part as well.
It's our Christmas gift.
Yeah. So those of you that join us in the reboot, we're actually going to throw in a free Hocket session. So over $500 value, you're going to get it for free. So you get to try out the Hocket, everything that we talked about. You get to come into the office and experience it for yourself. So how cool is that?
That's awesome. I can't wait. So the reboot, we are basically, like Dr. Tom said, enrollment is open.
I'm going to put up the link.
Yeah. It's going to be open until right before Christmas, like Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, because we do have to order our detox kits, make sure we have enough for everybody. We've had very successful groups doing this. We want to make sure we have enough product for everybody. And the first day that we're going to do, I'm going to do my first webinar to get us all going and to kick it off. It's going to be January 10th. So try to start implementing some of the things that we talked about today before then, but get through the holidays, just get it all out of your system, whatever you need to do. I mean, for some of you guys, it might be the first, big Christmas that you've had together with a bunch of different people. So January 10th, we're going to go, and it's going to basically be till the end of January. So we're going to have 4 weekly webinars, every Monday night this time, I think, starting January 10th. And then
they'll all be recorded too, so you can watch them. So you can't make it live, you can always watch the recordings. So you'll have access to the recordings.
Yeah, usually the next day we get it sent out. So if you can't make it that Monday, and you want to hear the next thing we're going to be talking about, then you can catch it up. You can catch up anytime. So you can sign up for the reboot. And if you can't make the lives, you can still be part of it, because you'll get the links for the replay every week that we're doing it. So so it's a 3-week detox program. There'll be 4 webinars. And for anyone this year that signs up, you get a free Hocket session. So we will have this machine up and running by the new year into January. So we'll be keeping everybody posted. Basically, you guys will be pretty much the first in line to have your session. Okay, so
I know there's some questions. So you want to go through the questions?
Yeah, okay. Let's scroll all the way down here. So someone asked, is it all right to drink a cup of decaf coffee per day? I actually don't even have a problem with coffee per se, if it's on your food list, if it's on your blood type program. The biggest thing to make sure of is it's organic, because you don't want to be drinking toxins, right? Herbicides and pesticides. But this is even bigger, is you want to make sure that you're buying your coffee from a certified mold-free coffee company. You want to make sure that it's going to be free of mold toxins, because coffee is a humid climate crop. And it's estimated that over 90% of the commercially available coffees has black mold and black mold toxins. So even if it's roasted and cooked and boiled at high temperatures, you have toxic particles that the body has to deal with. And a lot of our patients are very mold sensitive, sensitive to these types of toxins. So it's another form of toxin. So you can use that coffee, mold-free organic coffee, for drinking, and you can also use it for enemas. So Yay. Okay, so somebody asked about improving gout. If you are not currently a patient, I would recommend that you call the office and schedule for a functional medicine consultation so that we can figure out what is underlying your gout. You know, it's a uric acid problem, so there definitely is a detox pathway issue with regards to that. There can be a genetic predisposition, but certain foods will be higher producers of uric acid, like, believe it or not, fruits. That can be problematic for some people. A lot of red meat, asparagus, pea. So pea protein may not be ideal for this particular situation. And in some cases, even turkey. So, but there's different protocols in place depending on each person's blood tests and other functional tests. So that's definitely something that we'd have to take and kind of go through. Yes. So someone said, I know what this is. Awesome sauce. So how long do you sit inside the machine? The Hocket, you're in the Hocket for 30 minutes. And you start off, your first session is not going to be really, really high doses of everything. We don't want to shock the system. And, you know, after a series of sessions, we can actually build up the heat, build up the ozone, build up the amounts of everything to a higher level. Can I bring it to Florida? No. Now, do you mean location Florida? So there are definitely Hockets in Florida. So you could probably look up Hocket in Florida if you live in Florida. Otherwise, if your name is Florida and you want us to bring it to you, unfortunately, you'll have to come here. Wink, wink. Okay, so yes, so our detox reboot includes the kit. So we actually will ship everybody's kit to them. Patients that live locally sometimes will show up and pick it up at the office. But the reboot includes the webinars with me and your kit with the instructions. And there's lots of week-to-week downloads and extra tidbits and bonuses as we go through for things that you can do and be on the lookout. And then the final webinar is helping us transition off the reboot and into back to day-to-day life. Okay. The cost of the program, the reboot program with the webinars and the replays and the kit is $399. And that's for 4 live webinars that are about an hour-ish. It depends on all the question answers. And that includes your supplements and kit with the meal shakes. So you have meal shakes for 2 meals a day, and you have your pills for 2 of those packets a day. So you'll only be eating 1 meal on the actual reboot detox. Okay, so live in Missouri. How would I use the gift? Maybe you can come by and visit.
Take a trip to Annapolis.
Yeah. So we did not add, there's no additional cost in the program. So it's just, this is a free kind of thing for our rebooters. If you do the reboot, you get the gift and the benefit of doing a detox and being part of the group. We will honor it if you ever pop in for a visit. I know Missouri is a little ways away, but if you're ever back in town or back in this area and you want to try it, obviously let us know. We'll coordinate that for you. Yeah, Florida now lives in Florida. So what Florida meant by can we get her the Hocket in Florida? No, we can't get you one down there, but there are people that do Hockets down there, Florida. So you'll have to look. I can't believe Florida lives in Florida now. That's just so funny. That's awesome. Infrared. Okay, so someone said they have an infrared sauna and a vibration plate. You can use the infrared sauna depending if you're doing a detox. So Valerie, if you're doing the reboot with us and you're doing an intensive detox, you can do sauna every day. You can do vibration every day. In regular non-intensive detox mode, there's no harm in doing 30 minutes of infrared sauna every day and 10 minutes of vibration plate every day. You do not need to do those every single day, but a few times a week would be great. As far as just regular general exercise and upkeep as far as that goes. Okay, guys. So
I got a couple more questions.
How long should you do the trampoline? Honestly, again, if you're doing this for, You can do full on aerobic workouts on this thing. And some people, there's routines even on YouTube for like 15, 20-minute workouts. If you're just doing, you want gentle lymphatic drainage, you can get on the machine every day and just bounce very lightly on it for a good few minutes. Even just 5 minutes is something. It's a great early morning kind of way to get things going. Same thing with the vibration plate. You don't have to do a full high intensity training workout on it to get the effect of just getting circulation as far as that goes.
What about, I have a question about colonic. Do you have an opinion about doing colonics?
No, I think they're great. If you're having, so if you're doing a detox and you're constipated, there's definitely ways that we troubleshoot constipation, but coffee enemas are fantastic. If you're still having issues beyond doing your own coffee enema at home, and you've got a person that you know that can do colonics, there's somebody here in the area. I don't know if she's still doing it, but yeah, colonics are great. I do recommend if you do a colonic that you actually follow it up with a probiotic retention enema, and that's something we can talk more about in the reboot for those of you that are going to be going down that path. And then how about detoxing and medication interaction? So the one thing that we think about is if somebody is on high amounts of lithium because they've been diagnosed with bipolar, then I will caution you to not do this reboot and not do the detox, because you don't want to be pulling out and detoxing out the lithium in particular, which could almost be like you didn't take it, or cutting that dose dramatically in half. Otherwise, we've never had a problem with anybody on most of the medications that people are taking are like blood pressure medications or cholesterol lowering medications, sugar medications, diabetes medications. And we talk about that in the reboot, how to just monitor. You're right. So if you're diabetic, you monitor your sugars. If your sugars get low, you'll have to have medications adjusted. And for some people, this has been a very helpful way for them to be able to almost permanently reduce medication, and in some cases even eliminate a medication here and there. Cholesterol will come down. Remember, these metabolic diseases that require medications are a result of a toxic overload. So if we're able to do a detox for, a good 3 weeks, some people will do an extended one, and I'll talk about how you can do that as well. So there's not really any contraindications. It's just my only consideration is if you have been diagnosed as bipolar and you're on a lithium medication, then I will caution you to not do this, or just be very, very mindful of that, and taking your medications away from the detox shakes and away from the detox capsules. A med massager count as vibration plate? No. So now from a lymphatic drainage point, massage and vibration, yes, they can have a very similar effect. Vibration plate is a whole different ballgame as far as exercise, stimulating bone density, stimulating muscle contraction. You can be 10 minutes on a vibration plate and you don't have to do a ton, but it's almost like working out in the gym for an hour and a half. So it's a little bit of a different thing. If you're using the plate like a vibration massage type of device for purposes of just getting lymphatic drainage, then the massage thing that you have is probably good. And then someone just bought, Marlene, we can get with Marlene about that. She just bought a kit.
You should have to call the office and
yeah, actually we can
out.
just get you. What we can do is you sign up for the reboot, and then we will make a note to refund you for the cost of the kit that you just bought, if that makes sense. It's going to be the easiest way to do it, to get you in the system for the reboot, to make sure that you get the webinar links and all the reminders and stuff.
So the link is up, so you guys should be able to see the link. It says 2022, detox your body and start the new year fresh. And it says schedule my reboot. So click on that green button. That'll take you over to the registration page. Make sure when you register, you click that you want to sign up and join all sessions. So make sure you click all sessions, and that's going to get you registered for all 4 sessions. You don't want to just register for one. So make sure you choose all 4. And if you have any issues, you can always call Cedric. He can help you. It's 410-216-6607. I'll put that up at the top. And then this is a great program for diabetics. We've had many diabetics go through this reboot program. They've done
it's great
awesome.
to just get someone started. It's great to kind of get back on track. Anyone with inflammation, we've had success with getting someone's psoriasis back into remission. So autoimmune stuff to help lower inflammation. She messed up her question. The foot vibration plate is the same as the vibration plate. A foot vibration plate is probably not the same. The vibration plate we're talking about is something you actually stand on. But don't get too worried about it. You don't have to have a vibration plate to do a detox. So most of our patients don't have it. And if you have a foot massager or a massage bed, great. It's an extra bonus as far as that goes. But yeah, it's great for, any chronic metabolic issue, whether it's an autoimmune disease or whether you have psoriasis or eczema, or you're just kind of feeling tired and run down, or, we're going to be coming off the holidays and you just want to get back on track and, not have any question about it. Everyone needs to detox, remember? Just like we said. Even Dr. Steph and Dr. Tom need to detox. Bodies need to detox. So,
and the Hocket is not about losing weight. I mean, for me, it's about getting inflammation down, preventing chronic disease, getting all these great therapies at one time. I mean,
I want a full body exposure to ozone. I want to detox. I want to sweat. I want to be able to keep my sweat pathways open and my skin, your skin gets really refreshed with this. Again, we are not big emphasizers on weight. Obviously, that's,
it's going to be a bonus. You're going to, when you're toxic, like Dr. Steph said, a lot of those toxins are held in the fats storage cells, and you're going to release them, and then you're going to lose weight and you're going to lose fat.
Yeah. Now I have some patients that don't want to lose weight. And, doing this detox, you may or may not even lose weight because, again, you're going to be eating. If you're already underweight, you may not lose weight. For me, I may lose 2 or 3 pounds, maybe sometimes 4 pounds through the process. But, that will usually come up back to my standard. Like, I'm a pretty standard weight for the last, 20 years. So, I expect it to go down a little bit when I fast, but if you're doing liquid stuff, like if you add a lemonade fast or broth fast or something like that, yeah, you expect your weight to go down, but that's just because you're not taking in a bunch of solid stuff. So it's not a panic.
The other thing I'll say about, just to kind of mention, is like we talked about a lot of toxins and we mentioned testing briefly. So that's one of the things we do regularly with patients. And like I mentioned earlier, I'll ask patients regularly, what have they been exposed to toxins, any type of known exposure to toxins? And most of the time they're like, no, I haven't been exposed. But then we may do a toxin test, a heavy metal test, glyphosate test. I recently, saw a result from a patient who, she eats really clean. She is quote unquote healthy, but she just wanted to get healthier. She didn't really come to us with any major health issues. So we did a bunch of testing because she wanted to do these tests, and her glyphosate levels were just like off the chart. And she's like, how the heck did I get all this glyphosate? And she's like, I watch what I eat. I'm, looking at all these labels, and how did this happen? So once again, we had to dig a little deeper, and then we found some sources and we were able to eliminate them and really help her so she's not putting them in, and then we were able to help her excrete them out, so we reduced the levels.
Yeah, but don't let that be a stop, like the complexity of getting testing done and You don't need to do a bunch of testing to do a detox, right? If you've had recent blood work done, great. You can use that as a baseline. But for me, I have done some of these tests pre and post just to see how they come out, just because I'm a science dork and I'm, as a clinician, I kind of want to know these things. But I also do these detoxes without any testing. You don't need to have a bunch of testing to get through it. Some of our patients have done food testing just to find out if there's a food they're a little more reactive to than not. For the most part, we're going to be cutting out all the big, culprits that most people are reactive to anyways. You will get benefit out of doing the reboot without having a bunch of testing done. There's no question about that. And, you don't have to put that kind of extra in front of you to basically do this.
All right. I think we hit all the questions.
I think so.
All right, guys. Well, it was great joining you tonight. Hope you got some great information. So once again, I'm going to leave this up, schedule my reboot. So you're going to have that link and you'll be able to click over to that and get signed up. Once again, like we said, we're going to leave the registration up here for the next hour. It's going to be open until Christmas Eve. So that's when we're going to shut it down totally. So go ahead and get registered, get a spot. And,
get friends involved too. Like if there's a family member or a coworker and you want an actual physical in your face buddy, not just me on the webinars. It's a lot of fun. I've met people's fathers on the webinars and it's kind of like we've had 3 generations of family on the webinars. And I think it's a hoot. So, hey, it could be some people's Christmas presents.
There you go.
Someone bought that for his wife last year.
All right, guys, have a great night. And we look forward to seeing you on the next webinar.